Good morning. It's Andrea with Happy Cloud Creations. I'm just jumping on today so we can talk about week 7, the stacked flying geese block. So I'm going to wait a couple seconds to see if some people jump on. I know sometimes it takes a little bit of a while before it shows up in the feed. So if you jump on, if you could let me say hi so I can make sure I can see comments. So today, good morning, Michelle. So last weekend, we had a huge windstorm and a log-sized branch hit the top of my car, busted my moonroof and dented my roof and everything. So yesterday I had to drop my car off at the shop. So I'm going to be without my car for 2 weeks. That's going to be really odd. So I'm like, ooh, maybe this will get me some more time to sew. That's what I'm hoping. If like I can't go to the store, well, I could use my husband's truck, but I really don't want to. So I'm like, I'm going to try to stay home and see if I can get more sewing done. Hi, Paige. Hi, Anita. Oh, good evening. So it's nighttime over there in London, and it's snowing. I saw that on the online that you guys are getting snow right now. That's cool. Do you like the snow? I like the snow as long as I don't have to drive in it. I don't really like driving in the snow. I like the beautiful, carpet of white, but I don't really like driving in it. Hi, Dory. Yeah. I know, but like Michelle, I mean by extra time as in like, so I did big grocery shopping on Sunday morning so that I wouldn't have to go to the grocery store at all. So that's like, a couple extra hours during the week, I guess, because I usually go grocery shopping on Monday and then like on Thursday. So I'm hoping that I won't have to, but I might have to still on Thursday. We go through milk really fast. So it looks like some people are jumping on, so I guess we can get started. This week is the stacked flying geese block, which are the last blocks of the quilt. So that's kind of exciting. Super easy. Since we already made our flying geese, you want to make sure you trimmed those flying geese to the size they need to be. Yes, Michelle, I went, since my husband was home yesterday, I went grocery shopping all by myself. I was like, ooh, it's so quiet, and they're not asking for everything. Oh, good morning, Shawnee. Good morning, Lisa. Oh, good. Everybody's making it. Yeah, so we'll see if I have to drive his truck this week. We'll see. I really don't like driving it. It's just so big, but if I need, like, an emergency, I will just drive his truck because it's here all day. So the flying geese block. Get back on subject, Andrea. We'll be making 2. In the directions, I told you to make 4 that look like this, and then you take 2 of those and add an extra block on top. If you wanted, you could just make 2 that look like this, and then 2 that look like this. Basically, that's the same thing. Pretty easy since all the flying geese are done. We're just attaching those flying geese. Oh my goodness, -5 Celsius, Anita, that is so cold. Yeah, I'm wind chilled. Oh, that's what I don't like about winter, the coldness. But it's better than being too hot, because when you're too hot, it's hard to cool down. When you're cold, you can always put sweaters on and blankets and quilts and warm up, right? So just stay inside and stay warm. Finally, it's starting to warm up a little bit here. Last week it snowed and was cold, but this week's getting warmer. So if any of you guys have questions along the way about this block, let me know. Hi, Judy. It's pretty simple. What I like to do is when you take 2 blocks at a time, pin them together. I like to pin because since there's a lot of bulk here, if you don't pin it, sometimes it'll slide around when you're sewing it together. Hi, Deb. Oh, yeah, you found it. I know, sometimes it's hard to find, huh? I think if you just go into the discussion page and keep refreshing, the video will finally pop up. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know. I wish Facebook would notify everyone in the group. Say, hey, somebody's doing a video in the group. That would be really helpful. So what we want to do is line them up. So if you can see, my geese weren't like totally perfect, right? If you can see that this one, I don't know if you can see that. Right here, the fabric goes in a little bit more. Right there, can you see that? Since they're the same color, it's kind of hard to see. These line up perfectly, but this one darts in a tiny bit. So I'm going to want to line my foot up with the one that's sticking out more because I know that's the correct size of seam I'm going to want. And if this is darting in a lot more, you're going to want to reinforce your seam right here. You do the one that's the 1/4 inch scant and then go in and reinforce it just so that if it's too close to the edge, your seam's too close to the edge, you might worry about when you go to wash your quilt, it could fray. I've heard about that happening to some people, and you don't want that to happen. So I would reinforce the seam if it's too, not enough fabric here. But yeah, you want to pin it, and then when you're sewing it, if you can see that, you're going to want, your 1/4 inch is going to go really close to that tip of the flying geese right there. If it goes past it, you're going to cut your tip off. So you're going to want to make sure that this edge is a 1/4 inch, a scant 1/4 inch from that. And then when you open it up, you're going to want to, first you're going to want to set your seam with your iron, and then you're going to want to open it, finger press it open, and press it. And then you'll see we got that correct point there. What do I mean about reinforcing? I'll show you. I know one of them, I kind of reinforced it because I was worried about how much. Okay, this one, it shows you better. So see how much that pink is sticking out compared to the blue. So I did the seam right here is the 1/4 inch seam. And I just went back like midway and did another seam just so that I don't have to worry about this blue fraying because it has that double seam there. So it kind of make the seam a little stronger, if that makes sense. That's something I do. I don't know. I didn't read about that or anything. So logically in my brain, I'm thinking I don't want this to fray, so I'm going to do that double protection there. You understand does that make sense, Michelle? Just because that one doesn't really go all the way to the edge, and I don't want it to fray. Does that make sense? I hope so. That kind of reinforces it. A little extra protection, I guess. So, like you see in the picture, you can do, so these two, and you'll have one extra for the one with 5 flying geese. If you want, you could do, while you're sewing these two and these two, for these blocks down here, you could sew 2 pinks, or 2 of color B together as well. I like to chain piece them, so I'll stick this one in, sew this, and then I'll stick this one in, sew this one too at the same time. Oh, good, Michelle. So that makes sense. Because I know somebody else was having the problem of not having a big enough seam allowance, and they were gonna not have that. They were gonna cut their point off. So if you're gonna do a smaller seam allowance, you might want to do an extra seam closer to the edge just so that it doesn't fray, because that would be horrible to, like, you got this beautiful quilt done and then you go pop it in the washer and dryer and it's fraying on the front, like the seams popped apart. That would be just horrible. All that work you did went down the drain. So yeah, so this one's pretty simple. If you guys have any other questions, so we're going to have two that look like this. Ooh, wrong way. With the two triangles on top. And then we're going to have two with the one triangle on top. Just make sure before you sew them all together, you lay them out in the correct order and then pin the correct ones together. And then this finished size right here is going to be the finished size of your A block segments. And the width is going to be the width of your center block that you finished. So they're all going to fit together like a puzzle since it's an overall design. Next week we'll be putting all the blocks together. And then, let's see, I think I will be doing a lot of that. Yeah, sometimes when you do the 4 at one time, sometimes the top gets a little wonky, and one side will be a little shorter than the other. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm sewing too fast, cutting too fast. I don't know, but that just kind of, helps it better. This one was probably the 1 at a time geese because it's kind of more precise. One of the reasons I don't like doing all of them the 1 at a time is because you waste so much fabric. That whole triangle is a lot of waste of fabric. So that's why I like doing the 4 at one time. So next week, if for some reason, next week we're going to take all of our blocks and we're going to sew them together. For some reason, you're worried that your lines aren't going to match up, you could always try putting sashing in between. I don't know how that would look. I thought maybe that might be a cool alteration to the pattern. It would give you a little bit of wider and longer quilt as well. But they should. If all your pieces were cut precisely, all of the edges, if you've sewn to the end as a 1/4 inch scant and you didn't veer smaller or veer bigger on the ends, they should all line up. And next week I'll talk about how to line those up good. Hi Lynn, hi Kelly. This was a really quick block, so I'm already done explaining it. If you guys want to rewatch the beginning, you can. I was just kind of going over next week. We'll be putting all the blocks together. And then the following week, we will be doing basting, basting, quilting, and binding. So I know some people probably want to start next week after they put the top together. They're going to want to start those other processes as well. So just thinking forward, if you're going to quilt it yourself, you might, for basting, I like to use the spray baste. It's, for people with allergies, it's not good, but if you don't have allergies in a well-ventilated area, I like it because it kind of, I have less ripples on the back of my quilt when I use this compared to pins, just because it's kind of like gluing it together. And but you can also use pins. I like the curved pins. It's just basting pins. It says basting pins. Those are nice. Okay, Shawnee says that she does a 4 at a time, but she does them a little bigger and then trims them to size. So you'd probably want to up the size of your big block and up the size of your smaller blocks as well. I think I saw somebody with a chart for that. It's a Melanie Ham. I think she has a chart for the ones where you make them a little bigger and cut them down to size on her website. She has a chart. Oh, Kelly, you learned how to hand baste. I've never tried doing that. Yeah, you can hand baste with thread, right? And you just sew your basting stitches. I've only tried these two methods. When I started quilting, I've only done spray baste for like the last year. I always used to just pin. but sometimes I'd get little ripples in the back. Maybe I wasn't taping it tight enough. You want to make sure to lay your backing fabric out and tape it taut, and that'll help too. Deb, if you don't spray too much, it won't gum up your needle. Sometimes I do see a little tiny ball of stuff at the top, but I just take it off with my fingers. I think 505 spray, a lot of people say they like that better because it doesn't gum up as much, I think. I also heard that if you let it dry, it won't gum up your needle. I don't let it dry all the way. As soon as I'm done basting it, I'm like, well, I did all that work basting it. I want to start quilting it. A lot of times, if you just let it dry overnight, it won't gum up your needle. Yay, Jody, you made it to live. Yeah, I'm almost done. But you can rewatch the beginning if you'd like. Yes, Michelle's saying that it just bending over and having to pin sometimes is hard as well. You could also use a tabletop to do your basting on. I know a lot of people do that. I've also heard of some people taping their backing fabric up to the wall, and they spray the base, and then they put their batting on that, and then spray, and then do the quilt top on the wall. So that would be a good option for people that have bad knees. Oh, Amy, you tried doing an iron basting? Oh yeah, that would kind of be difficult unless you like had a heat-proof flooring, like if you were doing it on tile flooring and then just ironed it on the tile flooring instead of on your ironing board. That would be hard to wrangle on an ironing board. Oh, so Anita, you hand basted it so that you wouldn't have a problem with customs. Would customs have a problem with spray base, or is it just the pins because the metal? Yeah, that would be a pain. They'd be like, take all your pins out. Yeah, so there's those three options of basting. You want to make sure that it's flat as possible when you're basting so that you don't get any puckers. And then a long time ago, I used to use stick pins to baste, and that was a bad idea. It scratched my arms all up. I was like young. The first quilt I made, I was a teenager, so I wasn't thinking about that. You know, it was scraping my arms. I'm like, oh! And then I heard about these, and I'm like, oh, that's much better. Yeah, just the pins. The pins would make a metal detector go off, huh? Oh, do you think, Amy, the size, maybe since it was a king size, you needed a little extra basting? Like, if you did spray or iron basting, you need to do pins as well. That's what I heard. If it's really large, you might want to do two options, like spray and pin. I have not done a king size yet. The largest I've done was a twin. So that'll be interesting. Also, if you're going to quilt it yourself, a great option is a walking foot. It helps pull the bottom layer of your fabric and the top layer through your fabric at the same time, which is good. I used to just use my presser foot, and that made it a lot more difficult. This actually, you don't have to really pull the quilt. It just zooms through the machine on its own, which is really cool. I just found mine by going on Amazon, and well, first I went to Janome website and found out the part number and the foot, what it was called. Snow, I'm doing a video right now. And then I Googled it I searched it on Amazon, and I found mine on Amazon. And it wasn't too expensive. I can't remember. It was like a year ago that I got this. So before that, I was just using my presser foot. But then I was on Instagram, and I've been following a lot of other quilters on Instagram and are like, whoa, that is awesome. Some other quilter had this. And it makes quilting a lot easier if you want to do straight line quilting. If you want to do free motion quilting, you'll need to have a free motion foot. And also I found that just by going on the Janome website, finding out what foot I needed, because mine, I needed a low shank model. And that's going to look like, it can look like this, or it can look like, I think this is the whole thing, and then you can interchange this piece to see what bottom you like. So I haven't tried it yet. I bought it a year ago, and I just haven't got around to using it. And then also you'll want to lower your feed dogs with that too, because instead of the machine pulling it through, you're moving the fabric and it's stitching. So think about those, because if you're going to order those online, it may take a week or so to get those. So yeah, I'm excited to see everybody's finished quilts. So next week, we're going to put the tops together. And then the next week, we're going to be finishing those up. And I can't wait to see them all. My wing clipper ruler adds 1.5 to a large. So it's 5 by 10 inches. Okay, so you have a special wing clipper ruler. That's awesome. That would make it really helpful. What's wrong?
Mama,
Sure.
can you go to this way?
In 1 minute, I'm almost done. Okay. Okay. AliExpress for $8. Whoa, that's a really cheap walking foot, Michelle. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I needed a specific one for my model. I know you can get generic ones that are a lot cheaper. Yes, and Joann's. I got one at Joann's, but I haven't used it. I need to. I'm going to try it. I think maybe on some placemats first, and then I will go to a quilt. I don't want to ruin a quilt. It just, like, so much time goes into a quilt. I don't want to ruin it from the quilting. So, there's no more questions about this week. Oh, and then somebody was asking about backing fabric. I ended up choosing the bright pink for my quilt. That's what's in my center block and some of the outer ones. Since I buy a lot of fabric online, I had first purchased this Kona Cotton, what's it called? Color chart. It's just the sheet one. These are really close to the color that you'll receive. They aren't 100%. And then when they came out with the 37 new colors this year, I ended up getting the book. What's nice about this is what I do is, like, I took my florals and I matched it up to the book, and I was able to get colors that exactly matched my florals. And so that's what I'm doing for the back. I usually do for the backing fabric. I just go in and match it up to the colors, because it has so many different colors. You're going to get a color that matches correctly. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just really, it's really cool, you know? So if you do a lot of online ordering, fabric.com sometimes has the Konas for pretty cheap. And then also stashfabric.com. I order a lot from them. If I'm doing more than a yard, I'll do fabric.com, because sometimes if you do like 2 or 3 yards, you get a discount. So backing fabric, I like to do it there. And then I buy my, do you buy that color book? Yes. I bought this book, I think from fabricbub.com. There's a lot of online retailers. It's just called Kona Cotton Solids. If you Google that, or I got mine at fabricbub, B-U-B-B. I think you can even get it on the Robert Kaufman website. It just makes it more helpful that, like, if you want to put solids in your quilt and you don't want to go to the store, you just have your floral and match it up to the colors, and voila, you can just order them online. And this one was only, so this one was about $36, I think, and then this one was only $8.50. Okay, don't do that, baby. This one was only $8.50, so this was really cheap. I think Fabric Bub, I think Stash Fabrics might have this as well. I think fabric.com, even Amazon has this one too, which they're pretty accurate. And it's only $8.50. See, when I first wanted, I was like, oh, I didn't want to spend too much money, so I only bought this $8.50 one. And then I just recently bought this one because the more colors came out, and it's a little more accurate. Are you still getting snow? No, all the snow's gone. It's just really cold here. I wish we would get more snow. It's all gone. So, and then batting. If you're going to order your batting online, I really like cotton batting. A lot of people like wool and bamboo. Cotton's probably the cheaper of those, or polyester's the cheapest. I like warm and white. And when you buy your batting, that is going to tell you how far apart you need to do your quilting. On the back of this one, this warm and white, I think it's like 10 inches apart. Yeah, quilts are tie up to 10 inches apart. So if you're buying I like to buy a bigger size, like a king or queen, and then I can get a couple throw size quilts out of it. And then it's a little cheaper than if I were just to buy a throw size one. So make sure there's like at least 3 inches on each side of your quilt. So you're going to want to get batting that's a little bit, don't pull on that, baby. You're ruining it. So get that a little bit bigger than your quilt top. And it's not bad to have extra batting. That's why I get mine. Like this one's a queen size, and then I get king size, and then I'm able to get a couple quilts out of that. So that's probably it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. You can always tag me in the group to ask questions. I'll be back on here next Tuesday at 10:15 a.m. To go over putting all of our blocks together. So I will talk to you guys then. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys have fun sewing. All right, goodbye.